if you are convicted, that because of your co-defendant's responsibilities in that crime, that you are held responsible along with them. It's a crazy law, you know, because how could you say, you know, if you and I were doing a crime and you decided to kill somebody, how can I be responsible for what you did?
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't.
So you were not, you personally were not plotting, let's kill this officer who is driving up the ramp, where you were burglarizing a store for weapons.
Exactly. I wasn't even out on the back dock when that happened. You know, I was still in the store tying up hostages.
The first robbery, I ended up with 10 aggravated life sentences for one storm.
But there was no murder, there was no bloodshed.
No, what they did here in Texas, they say here in Texas that if I'm telling you that this is a robbery and one of your coworkers hears me, they count it as 2 robberies now. And whatever amount of employees are in the store, or customers, but there was always employees only, no customers, they charged me with an individual count of kidnapping, because I told them to move from point A to point B during the commission of a crime. I came out with 10 aggravated life sentences.
Consecutive?
Yes, that means stacked. That means I had to do the time, which was, in '93 it was 15 years before you're eligible for parole. So I had to do 15 years on one life, and then start the parole process for the second life, and so on to 10. Well, in June of '95, I was again tried for another robbery, and this time it was again the 2 counts of aggravated robbery and 5 employees this time, so another 7 aggravated life sentences stacked on top of the first 10, so now I have 17 life sentences. And then,
do I see it right? You were some sort of a gentleman robber. You
yes,
would
sir.
explain that you like to have all the employees together and ask them, don't do anything stupid.
Yes, in fact, one time I had a person in one of the robberies tell me to shoot him. And I had to talk him out of it. He had a very long day, he was very stressful. And he actually testified in his report. In his report to me to police, he actually admitted all this, but I actually had to talk him out of shooting him. He had such a hard day, and I had to talk him down out of it. It was a surreal experience, and it's one of the things that started making me aware of how what I was really doing was stupid, to put it bluntly. Within a year and 3 months of being arrested in '93, I had 18 aggravated life sentences. I had more time than all mass murderers in the prison system that I know of. I know I belonged in prison. I was robbing, and I grew up mentally here in prison, and I recognize that I did commit the crimes. I should have been sentenced to prison, but I do believe that they went overboard. They took away all hope for me. And when you do that to a person, anything is possible. Some people go crazy, some people kill themselves, and other people sometimes try to do what I did later on.
And the 2 guys jockeying for this girl, you know, it just happened that we ended up in the same car. And as we're driving away, he becomes angry with me. You know, we have an old saying back in San Antonio that us guys will say that it's, and I don't want to curse on the TV or anything, but it's
We'll bleep it out.
yeah, it's called blocking. You know,
Yes.
where one guy tries to get somebody else's girl, or you know that you're getting in the way of somebody else.
Right.
And I believe that that's what Miguel thought was happening. He was trying to get in the way of him and Jocelyn.
Which was in a way the pattern of the evening. You would have, if you had delivered him home, you would have returned, and you probably would have spent the night with a girl.
More than likely. More than likely. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but more than likely, because I was very interested in her. It ended up in a fight. He started
approaching the crime scene on the sidewalk. You will find blood drops, which will eventually...
He testified, and when he testified, he sealed his fate. You want me to tell you why I remember this case so well?
Please.
This victim was stabbed multiple times with what is known as a butterfly knife. A butterfly knife is a difficult knife to use to assault someone. As a matter of fact, this is the only murder I've ever handled in which a butterfly knife was used. It's difficult to use because it's unwieldy unless you know how to use it very well. The steps to unfold it, you're very good with that knife. Joseph Garcia in court, on trial for his life, insisted in front of the jury and demonstrating his proficiency with that butterfly knife. And he was proficient. He was scary when he did his demonstration in court. It was scary how proficient he was with that knife. He just couldn't avoid showing that jury how good he was with that butterfly knife. And that's what he did. And I think once he did it, the jury was not going to have much difficulty finding him guilty.
Joseph Garcia claims that he had bruises in his face and had a bloodied face, and there were photos taken of Joseph Garcia that very night. Did you see the photos?
I did.
And what did they look like to you?
Like a man who was uninjured. Let me address
Yes.
Joseph Garcia's statement that he thought his 50-year sentence was too harsh. You know, in Texas, in murder, it's a very unique state in that the jury can determine punishment. And the jury is given almost complete discretion. For a murder, a jury can give someone probation, or they can give them life, and anything in between.
Even probation?
Even probation.
You mean for first-degree murder?
For first-degree murder.
Right?
Yes. As long as you have not previously been convicted of a felony, if you're eligible for if you've never been previously convicted, in Texas, a jury can sentence a murder defendant to probation. Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But my point is, the juries in Texas wield a complete discretion, a lot of authority in what they're going to do in a murder case. So that's why it's so critically important what the jury thinks about the defendant. Do they see remorse? Is there something mitigating about this murder?
These 7 men were all together at the Connolly unit.
I train the men with CQC, close quarters combat, with just our hands. Because, to be blunt about it, if we wanted to hurt people, we had axes, we had chainsaws. We could have done anything to those officers that we wanted to. But we didn't want to overtly or intentionally hurt the men.
That was the whole thing. I mean, we planned for this for months. I mean, we went through scenarios in which, you know, something else could happen and we, you know, adjusted to it. The main thing is no one gets hurt. Play it smart, you know. And if you do it smart, you know the system, then hey, you could just walk out of it, you know.
Watching the way the system operated, I realized that the best way was going to be the most difficult way, which was taking over the entire maintenance department.
I mean the officers who went
One
to
officer.
lunch. Yeah.
Well, the officers and inmates, the other workers in maintenance. And when they went to lunch, we subdued the first officer, and he's the one that stabbed one of ours, and he's the one that got hurt, that got hit. And then we bandaged him up and put him in the room. We took his clothing, and then we got ready for the rest, because now all the other officers are going to be coming back from lunch. And they came back in 2s and 3s. So we were outnumbered, so what we did was wrestle them. We basically had 3 teams. Me and one other man were the primary team to take them down when we were out. And at the same time, I'm answering the phone that's calling back there. And actually called.
You know, we missed the roadblock by 3 cars. Murphy's looking out the back window and he's like, hey, we just missed it because the cops were putting up the roadblocks already. We missed it by 3 cars.
Good morning, ma'am. Highway Patrol. Y'all aware of the prison escape in Kennedy, Texas? Okay, we're just...
San Antonio has become the focus of the search because 2 of the escapees are from here. 29-year-old Joseph Garcia.
I remember turning on the TV and seeing that a group of Texas inmates had escaped and being shocked that they could have escaped. And when it dawned on me that one of them was Joseph Garcia, I don't scare very easily, but it startled me. I was worried that he was one of the escapees and his whereabouts were not known. And I recall authorities thought they may be headed to San Antonio. And I think for
Out the store, or stake it out, case the joint as they call it here in Texas. they had a little tag on their window that said that their security was provided by ADT Security. Well, we were economizing all the money we had, so we would shop at the thrifty stores, like a Goodwill. At one of those stores, I noticed they had a rack of clothing, of used clothing, of all these different kind of clothing from businesses. I saw ADT Security. So I got 2 shirts, black pants, a jacket that had security, a cap. Then I cut out some pictures from a newspaper, Dallas newspaper, and